Augustus Aigbe.
My name is Christabel Otobo. Good morning, and today being Wednesday on Dialogue, we're taking a look at some choice headlines, a few to do with policies, but then one that is most trending in the country right now. Starting up with this headline, it says Buhari regrets accidental bombing, Borno. Bombing in Borno, condoles victims and families. All right, and we'll also be taking a look at government releases 965.2 million naira to 79,852 Seaways beneficiary. And lastly, we will be taking a look at federal governments to invest in Ogbolo. And that's pretty much what we'll be looking at this morning.
All right, quite a funny one there. To spend a certain amount of money on...
to spend 86.5 million naira on Ogbolo.
All right, but let's start off with the most... talked about topic right now in the country, and quite a sad one, really, seeing as we've been trying to combat with insurgency, militancy in so many fronts, and this time around, fear is that we have to combat with our own security personnel because of the lackadaisical attitude, or how do you describe when a security agent's tasked to do a job of securing lives and properties and protecting territorial borders? In fact, only a few days ago, we talked about the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari had boldly made a statement that sanity has been restored to sanity and integrity has been restored to our territorial borders since he came on board. And unfortunately, this is not just a setback; it is a blow in the fight against insurgency, and of course a blow in the trust we're trying to have in our military. They have done a fantastic job, no doubt. You cannot dispute how well they've done. Over the course of the years, we've seen how tirelessly they've fought to improve the lives of or protect the lives of people and properties in Nigeria. But to get to see that this, as they put it, a mistake of this magnitude could happen. In fact, it's been termed a regrettable operational mistake by the commander of the operation, Theater Commander Major General Lucky Rabo, who happened to be the one who authorized the raid. And of course, this led to the eventual bombing of Bala in Borno State, Calabarge area of Borno, Ran Camp to be precise. And of course, at first, the military, they did not give us... They did not give an exact number on the on a number of casualties that had suffered injuries or had been dead. But the Medicine Sans Frontiers, the MSF, who were greatly hit when this attack occurred, put up the number to around 52. And from what we hear, it is actually rising. There's no definite number as of now, but it is actually rising. Now, the MSF, that is the Medicine Sans Frontiers, also known as Doctors Without Borders. They've been in Nigeria for a long period of time, since 1971, and they've been they are an international body that go about trying to reach areas where ordinarily help cannot get to, where the Red Cross or any body that is tasked with assisting or providing aid might find it hard to get to. They go to those areas and they give first-hand care and treatment to people. But to now see that they were the people greatly hit due to this attack, or as a result of this attack, it is quite sad. And of course, it was no surprise that the MSF director, Jean-Clement Cabrol, actually said that this is quite unacceptable, and it's regrettable that they are trying their best to help people who are in need in Nigeria, and that's the act occurs.
Well, it's a calamity, I must confess. It's really a painful one. And they're talking about the particular IDP camp that had this issue. It was the Ran IDP camp located in Calabarge local government area in Borno State. And it usually catered for thousands of people who were displaced by Boko Haram. And I'm sure these were the same, these were part of the thousands of people who were going to be sent out of the IDP camp this January. Now, it's quite shocking and makes us wonder what level have we actually gotten to in the fight against insurgency. Because I recall taking a headline on the newspaper headlines and reviews sometime in December 27th, where it read that Governor Shetima intends to close the gates of the IDP camps and force out the IDPs so they could go back into the state and inhabit the state again, since the state is now safe from insurgency. And now we are looking at this, and now we hear of a military, we hear of an information that says there were Boko Haram, there were insurgents gathered somewhere, and that was what they actually went out for. And it makes us wonder, is it possible that the military were working without idea of the terrain? Is it possible that they were working without knowing particular locations of particular places? I mean, for people who we feel are experts, for people who we should trust in trust our lives with, they should be able to tell very important locations in the country. And of course, I don't know, there should have been action. There should have been a way they could have actually checked and identified the kind of persons. I mean, there are some kind of equipment that they have that should have enabled them to see from afar. And before they can actually just shoot, they have to confirm the location and, of course, confirm the targets, keep it locked in on the target before they shoot. So it makes us wonder, did they just go there and just fire without even looking?
The military, they're yet to give in full detail. First of all, they're yet to give details to the Borno State government or even the federal government as regards what really transpired. We don't know if, like you said, they couldn't pinpoint the actual location or, the target, or if during the course of trying to pinpoint or triangulate and get the enemy to strike, they accidentally sent the bomb somewhere else. We don't know where the fault is coming from, who made the mistake, all we know is that it happened in Ran Camp. We know it was authorized by Lucky Rabo, the commander, Major General Lucky Rabo, and we know that, they've accepted and taken responsibility for their action and saying that it was an accidental bombing, regrettable, of course. But then, even if this happened and no lives were lost, it will still be dumbfounding. It would still be absurd to say that that could have been people there. There could have been people there, and they would have lost their lives. But in this case, we're looking at the possibility of over 52 persons have already lost their lives. The figure is not given. It's not confirmed
it's
yet.
It's actually already rising. As of this morning, it was 52, but it's currently more than because of those who were severely injured. And currently, Governor Shetima gave an order for them to have immediate emergency treatments, and so he gave an order for every hospital in the state to quickly attend to the persons. And they already deployed a couple of jets and airplanes to go take the fatally injured out of the camp and have them treated in the hospitals within the state. Yes, we have that already, but the scores are increasing so far because of the ones that couldn't make it or pull through the injuries that they had.
Yeah, but it's quite sad because now the displaced persons do not have faith in the military, or would I say they are not guaranteed safety because they thought that running away from the zones where the hot zones or areas that was under the siege, under the siege of the Boko Haram terrorists or insurgents, they were now
having those who were supposed to protect them now become the ones to hurt them.
Yeah, because they say, okay, fine, it's a mistake. So when are we going to have the next mistake? Or hopefully that doesn't happen. But then you can't rule out the possibility of it. If it happened once, it can happen again.
The truth, the truth is, just like we have in football, this feels very much like scoring an own goal. The purpose of the targets or the aim of Boko Haram, after all, is to maim a couple of people, take a couple of lives, and you're supposed to be acting
a lot of lives,
as many lives as possible. I beg to say, and then you now have it's as if we just assisted them in what they tried to do after all.
Yes.
And this happened on the very day that we had Shekau come out, Abubakar Shekau coming out to say that to claim ownership and claiming responsibility for the bombing in the mosques in University of Maiduguri. What he came out to say was that as far as he's concerned, why is everybody calling mosques? That was not a mosque. That was a place where they practice disbelief, and so they will burn as many disbelief centers, whether they're called mosques or not. And that was just the day he came out, and they heard of some gathering of insurgency in a particular location close to that Calabaje. And at the end of the day, they just helped them do what they were gathered for anyway. And so I feel the military have a lot to do. The Nigerian Air Force may have a lot to do in trainings. If we have to seek international support when it comes to trainings, we should, because one would expect that when the military or the Nigerian army or the Nigerian Air Force are there in any way, people should be protected, even if it's a hostage situation where they have a gun to the head of innocent civilians. One would expect that with so much practice and competence, they'll be able to take out a person who is putting a gun to the head of a hostage and not hurt the hostage in the process. And so, a situation where it wasn't like there were threats, it wasn't like they were mixed up. The insurgents who were trying to fight were in the same camp or already in the camp, and they could not spot the difference or tell who was the insurgents and who were the IDPs. I think that would have been more explainable. But to mistake an entire location, I really don't know what this says about our level of gathering intelligence and, of course, confirming things before we go for it.
It's just downright to, I don't know, that is a problem. The military has not given us details of what really transpired. We cannot say for a fact that Lucky Rebel said that they had information that there was a gathering. Yeah. They went to that location, and of course there was accidental bombing. We don't know if they plan to target a certain area, and the ballistics or the missile or the bomb went to a different area.
They did, because Lucky Rebel happens to be not just a commander in the army. He is the theater commander for counter-insurgency operations in the entire northeast Nigeria. Now, he was the one that ordered the information. He came out to say that they gathered information that Boko Haram insurgents were gathering in the area, and they got geographic coordinates. So this was not like they just left. So it's either there was the coordinates were correct and there was a wrong interpretation of a geographic coordinate, or they did not get the right coordinates at all in the first place.
Exactly. That is what I'm saying. We don't know for a fact what the problem was. So we're waiting for the military to tell us what the problem was, because we can only speculate at this point. We're trying to find out, what transpired. It could have even been that there was no problem at all. It was just a fault, a technical fault with the jet. And, while they tried to, let out the ballistic or the bomb, it went or veered to a different direction.
And so they accidentally found themselves hovering over the IDP camp instead of over the insurgency camp, and they misfired. And I don't know, but seriously, because you can't just you head towards a particular location before you fire. This was not a case of they were probably just flying above or hovering, and they were still trying to find their way to the right coordinates, and so they were hovering over the IDP camps. What works with missions like this have to do with the fact that they go towards the particular coordinates given to them before they fire. So I don't think
the thing with aeronautics and planes and jets is that you don't necessarily have to be there. You could stay from a safe distance. I think that's why at one point in time that there was clamor for the federal government to purchase some Apache jets where they could go from a safe distance and shoot at the insurgents without getting retaliation from the insurgents, sending the missiles back to them.
Except you're saying that maybe the spots where the insurgents were was very, very close to the IDP camps.
Again, we cannot. We just know that according to what has been given on the news right now is that they actually got information. They went there. They got information. He commanded that the air and ground operators or security agents attack, and of course the Air Force went to carry out their duties, and unfortunately there was an accidental bombing. And it's quite, this development is quite a sad one, and it's quite a grave mistake, one must say. And of course, President Muhammadu Buhari, via his Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, has sent his condolence to the families of the people who lost their lives. But is that ever enough in these situations?
Well, the president, of course, just like my colleague said, actually came out to express sympathy to the people and wished all those who were involved in the accident divine succor, leading to full recovery. But I think for me, the action that will make it most impact is the action of the governor in the state. Talking about Kashim Shettima, what they they've put in place so far, like I was saying earlier, they've deployed helicopters or to be on ground to begin evacuations of the victims, starting with those in very critical health condition. He's also ordered for the MSF, Doctors Without Border, and other officials of the state government to be the first responders. And then they've also located and designated particular hospitals within the state. Talking about the state specialty hospital, the Professor Umar Shehu and the General Mohammed Shoa Memorial Hospital. They are all on standby, ready to carry out emergency treatment, and of course, all on the government.
All right, it's quite a sad way to proceed with the mopping up, so to speak, of the insurgents, the remnants. They keep saying that there are remnants of insurgents here and there, and mostly in Sambisa. We've seen the apprehending of some of these insurgents in places like Lagos and Kogi. It's close to the other parts of the country, far from the northeast, and they continue to ambush security operatives, and we get to hear that there was more fatality, or the mortality rate with the insurgents were more than that of the security operatives. But
yes,
then again,
the security operatives that were hurt were about 6.
No,
as of this morning, when we had a number of casualties for the IDPs, there were 52, but right now they've risen to about 100 plus.
Yeah, I'm speaking generally. I'm talking about, the fact that, every time we get to hear that the insurgents attack, we get to hear that more about the insurgents who died than the security personnel. But now it is the security. It is security personnel, have accidentally bombed an IDP camp, and this is going to be a stench in
our history.
In of course, this administration, of course, the fight against the insurgents, it's like taking one step forward and 3 steps backward. How do you make such? It's not within the. We've had other countries make such mistakes when it comes to the aeronautics, and of course how they attack insurgents and all of that. But this time around, we were on the verge of claiming victory and saying, fine, we've conquered Boko Haram, and this happens. This is on our own. It's a breaking. It's I don't know the word to actually use to clarify or describe what transpired yesterday. But then again, of course, I'm sure Lucky Rabo will have more details for Nigerians and of course the federal government and how best to proceed from this very sad turn of events. But away from that, let's look at.
Let's take a look at all the stories.
At another story where, of course, the federal government has said they will be investing or be spending 86.5 million naira on ogbono soup, and you may say that how
not necessarily the soup, actually the plant.
Yes, you may. Well, of course, it does lead to the soup production or the output, but you may say or wonder why this is a priority for the government. But apparently, the Minister of Agriculture, Aigbe, Aigbe, has said that there's so much promise with this plant or crop in the US and in Europe, and so they're going to take it seriously, and that can be reaffirmed when you take a look at the budget. Apparently, ogbono is right there in the mix as regards to what we're going to be spending money on come 2017, and he feels that the market potentials of this particular product, is very, very promising.
Well, I do not know about how promising this is, because when I consider other cash crops we have, when we look at cash crops like cassava, cocoa, even potatoes, yams, and then other cash crops like rubber, I begin to wonder if we exactly want to call ogbono a cash crop. Yes, it may definitely yield a lot of revenue when it comes to the southeast and the south parts of the country where it is actually consumed. Because first of all, we must know that within the country, not every part of the country, not every geopolitical zone consumes so much ogbono. It still boils down to the southeast, south, and maybe a little bit of the southwest. But when you go higher, go up north, you don't really get to see so much consumption of this particular fruit. Then that's within the country. Before we talk about Africa, and then we talk about the world, the consumption of ogbono may not yield for us as much as it would be when we look at crops like cocoa, where we can actually get to produce in such a way we can export, we consume within the country and get internal revenue, and then we send out of the country and get foreign revenue. And so I don't know if this is actually going to be if we are actually looking in the wrong direction right now. Yes, it's a good thing we're trying to diversify the economy, but I think we should be taking a look at crops that have much more prospects and can give us greater returns. The amount of money to be spent by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is a sum of 86.5 million naira for the promotion and cultivation of ogbono. Now, I do not know what they mean by the promotion, because there are particular crops that may not necessarily require promotion because of their economic importance on their own. When you think about cocoa, there are so many things that can be done with it, so many production. The whole process from cultivation down to the having it to produce, turn into, of course, from a raw material into a final product. It's a whole lot of creation of jobs, and not just creation of jobs, but a whole lot of income coming in at every phase of the utilization of cocoa. When we look at any plantation, if we want to look at rubber, or if you want to take a look at palm, you can think of so many things. Investment in palm is one thing you can never regret, because every single part of the palm, even to the dead leaves, have something you can produce from them. The dead leaves of a palm can produce broom for you. The living leaves of a palm can even do something else. Just so many things, down to the roots, to the fronts, to the palm nut seed. Every single part of the palm produces something. But how much can we really do with ogbolo? When you even take a look at the article, this particular news, what you hear is it's a local ingredient for draw soup in the country. How many people actually are interested in draw soup? Even here in the South, I know a couple of people that would say, I don't like it. So how much importance does it have for us? What's the economic value? And then internationally, what can this really do for us as a country?
I mean, if the Minister of Agriculture is saying that, the prospects, or
what are the prospects?
The market value is quite promising. I believe they've done the analysis.
The market value is promising in the southeast and south-south. This is what he said. We should be looking at something that has a market value not just in the southeast and south-south or in Nigeria, but something that has economic value and market value in the international community.
First of all, he said the market potentials are promising in the US and in Europe. And then, of course, if you also want to look at in Nigeria, it does, show that there's so much promise in different parts of the country. But then, again, I mean, I want to believe that, if the Minister of Agriculture, many times we've seen, the minister or different people in the cabinet of President Muhammad Buhari give us stories of how they plan to move the economy forward. And, the Minister of Agriculture now has said that, Ogbono does have potentials in improving our economy, and the potentials are great in the US and in Europe. But we saw, if you take a look at some videos you see on social media, you see Africans, get to consume our local cuisines. And
Africans,
and sometimes you even see the whites, consume it, and they speak so much about it. You can't you can't quantify the number of people. There's no way to actually give the statistics of people who actually just the same way understand. You can't actually say there's this amount of Africans who consume delicacies of the people in foreign countries. So I want to believe that if the Minister of Agriculture has said, there's potential with this, maybe there's potential. I mean, they're taking it seriously. Obviously, it's in the budget. So I'm guessing they're taking it seriously. So for how it turns out, I would say I'm going to be optimistic on this one. How it eventually turns out. If you want to be, a realist, you would say this is a plant or crop that takes over 6 years to mature. So it turns off a number of farmers or people who would want to cultivate the product. All right. But then if we're going to be optimistic about it, I would say, it's time for us to keep our fingers crossed and hope that, this becomes the next big commodity in Nigeria, just like we once had with palm oil before Malaysia came to Nigeria. And, they are now one of the highest exporters of that product.
Yeah, for a time where we had the person of the vice president coming out yesterday, person of Yemi Oshibanjo, coming out yesterday to say that very soon this oil will be useless to us. And we're thinking of diversifying the economy. I think we should be looking at crops that have international relevance to us. Because for me, if I think of ogbono, I can only think of a few things that it can do, and which is basically maybe cooking of a soup. But we should look at things that can not just be made into production of food, but will also not just food crop, but will also end up as a raw material. And another thing you you can look at is granite. I thought we would be looking at those days when we used to have the granite pyramid in Nigeria. That's one thing we can cultivate in this country. And I felt like maybe we should take a look at that, because there's so much that can be done from granite that we do not even know all the importance yet, including the production of granite oil. So a situation where, fine, maybe we as a country, we've not developed ourselves, we've not grown to the phase where we can actually produce granite oil ourselves, but we can grow to the phase where we can plant this granite enough to give it to the countries who produce granite oil and get revenue for ourselves.
Anyhow, I would say I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic about this one. Just like when we started off with palm oil, and then we turned our attention from agriculture to, petroleum, and this is where we are, trying to fight to have our currency have value. But then again, let's be optimistic and see how this pans out. But away from that, let's look at more promising news today on Dialogue, where, of course, the federal government are going to be giving a huge sum, about 965.2 million to 79,852 seaweeds beneficiaries. Now, if you were in university or in tertiary institutions or you're in school, this would definitely come as a good news for you. I remember, a lot of students want to always get to do their internship and, go to learn or gain experience, for the course they're studying. And also, sometimes hope they get certain amounts of money, during the course of that 6 months, 3 months, or a year period. So, the fact that the government is going to be releasing this huge amount of money is definitely welcome development.
Well, it's a welcome development. So far, we're having 79,852 beneficiaries, and they already have a backlog to clear with this Student Industrial Work Experience scheme. And so far, with the release of this money, they will be able to provide for the 79,852 students from 136 tertiary institutions across the country. And so it's pretty much a good thing that they're looking into this. But for a skills training program that has been on since 1973, I beg to say that I don't know if we have seen so much of their effect so far in the universities. All through my years in school, I never heard about the seaweeds, or is it possible that they're only in a select school? Some select schools, they're not in every school, every university across the country. What are the criteria? Because if indeed this is true and this is real, then I think this is something we should have in pretty much every university. So I think apart from the fact that they're providing a backlog for this 79,000 plus students, they should look into expansion. If it's not in every school, let's have it in every school, because what I see from the program, established in 1973 and designed to expose and prepare students of universities and tertiary institutions to the industrial work situation they are likely to face after graduation. I never heard anything about it all through my years in school. So I think this is something that's pretty much not everywhere. And so this is a program that we should have in every school, and we have the government invest more on, if not just training or preparing them for industrial work situation, but also preparing them for entrepreneurship. A situation where they come out of school and they can't get a job, they will be ready to create jobs for themselves, and before you know, generate revenue not just for themselves, but for the state and for the country at large. So I think it is a good scheme, but we'd like to see more of their effect, more of their work so far.
Yes, we'd definitely like to see. In fact, I remember my days in year 4 where I had to, go for industrial training, and there was the column where it had government to pay for federal institutions a certain amount of money to students, and I waited long and hard for that to come, but it never did come, So maybe government is finally taking this seriously, and they're looking at the possibility. They understand now that, when they say train up a child, you train up a generation, or how do they say it? Or, when you invest when you invest in kids or in people in the universities, or generally just put money when it comes to education, invest in the education sector, that you're doing it for the future. It may not have immediate returns, but it's going to have fantastic, it will be fantastic at the end of the day. These people you're going to train and develop are going to turn out to be the next Bill Gates of the world, the next Dangotes of the world, or Ted Lasso of this world, Alaki Jazz of this world. And it will only happen if they have the right proper training. We get it here time and time again where we see kids or children of these days, or young young adults, they are more concerned about, getting white-collar jobs or, not being entrepreneurs, not having the brain to want to start up their own business, like you said, entrepreneurial skills or just skills generally. We heard the governor of Edo State talk about the fact that via his chief of staff accurately, that of course that students need to have or hone their skills, and of course have some skill, so to speak, at all, even so that when they come out of the universities, if there's nothing readily available for them to do, they can actually bank on the skills they acquire during the course of their 4, 5, 6 maybe years in the tertiary institution. So this again is quite commendable, but the follow-up, will it continue? Is it possible? Will it be something they start for 6 months and then they stop? Or will it be, a program that, 4 years, 8 years after the Buhari administration, people would remember this and applaud them for it?
It's even more than that, because this particular program is not something that was instituted or conceived in Buhari administration.
Yes.
This is something that has been on since 1973. And I can tell you about how many sets of generations have gone through school so far, and they never heard of this or never felt the impact. So what I'm saying is, yes, it's good that we have the federal government looking into this now, paying this amount of money, about 962.2 million naira, to pay a backlog of over the years. But then even the students that they want to pay a backlog to, some of them have already graduated. So I'm saying there should be an expansion.
I still have
let's feel more of their effect.
I still have my certificates. I can always go to my department. No, if it's clearing the backlog, I'm part of that backlog.
You will not register. I'm sure that that's even another thing.
If it started,
whatever the criteria is, they should make it open and let us know.
I registered for this.
You didn't register for seaweeds.
I did.
No, nobody ever told you anything about it.
They told me.
And it's not like they're saying being in school is a criteria. There may be some sort of process through which you can be a beneficiary in the series.
I am telling you.
But what I'm saying is,
I registered for this.
Whatever it is, they should let us know and make it open.
Yeah.
Make it open, and if this is something that government wants to invest 965.2 million naira on, they should make it open. Let Nigerians know what this really is about.
79,852 series beneficiaries. There's got to be a spot for me to be in that place. I know for a fact that in the coming days now, I'm going to get a call from my department in university, and they're going to say, come get your sum, and I'm going to go there. So yes, I am. I'm so sure. I am very happy about this.
Yeah, it's 72,852. I'm sure you had the
79,000.
79,852 students are to benefit, and I'm sure your number is 79,853.
I graduated many years ago, so I definitely am in that list. But anyhow, enough of this talk. Let's quickly get your opinions as regards all we've discussed today on the show. Call the number 0706-263-9275 or call 0903-939-4427. I don't know if I need to reiterate myself and say be civil and refrain from making derogatory remarks, but again, be civil and refrain from making derogatory remarks. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning to you. Welcome.
How are you, Christabel?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. What's the name, please?
This Mr. Roman Abramovich from Iguamo.
All right, welcome.
Yes, I want to talk on the issue of Boko Haram and the Nigerian army.
Okay. Go ahead.
It is a pity that, for instance, if you are traveling from here to Lagos, you that is traveling, you know the house where you are going to. You have to go directly to the house without missing the road. The Nigerian Air Force, before they went to go and pack their target, did they have their target in advance in their radar where they are going? Or were they just going anyhow and dropping bomb anyhow? They should have their own target in their radar. Know the exact point where they are going. Rather than dropping bomb on lots of people are leaving Boko Haram alone. It shows that our people are not actually doing the job they ought to do. A well-trained Air Force.
Okay.
Should. Hello?
Yes, go on.
Go ahead.
A well-trained Air Force, you have a target. You know where you are going. Where you are not, is going.
Yes.
And moreover, we should be very careful. There are some or few bad eggs in our security system who are aiding and abetting.
Okay.
They say they have driven Boko Haram away. Where are the guys? If they have driven them or they have captured them, where are the remaining 197? The Boko Haram looked with them. The federal government is dancing. dancing up and down, commending our security agents. They have defeated it. They killed some army that day, professor that day, meaning Boko Haram is still very much active. So I beg, they should do their work.
All right.
The bad egg, they should try to fix up. And moreover, the best way to defeat Boko Haram is to look at for those who are sponsoring them.
All right.
They are good sponsors in the high places. Block their sources of finance.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Quite feelings there being, I don't know, man.
It's quite a touching one for the country so far. But let's take more calls. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome. Please go ahead.
This is Capone.
All right, Carbon.
Yeah, my opinion is that we are saboteurs in the Nigerian army.
Okay.
That is just my opinion. Because they've already known the location of the Boko Haram people. Then they went to drop it on innocent persons. That means they have to be questioned. There's something that went underground.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for this one. Different, what is the word now? Different theories.
Yes.
Conspiracy theories. A lot of talk as regards how or what led to that particular bombing, and lives lost and counting. And it's like you're doing Boko Haram's job for them.
It's an ongo.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Gucci.
Morning to you.
Engineer Uche is my name.
Engineer Uche, welcome. Let's have your reaction.
Somebody be held responsible for a lot of calamities that have been going on in the country.
All right.
Things are bound to continue to happen.
Okay.
The armed force, with all the training, all the money that has been put in place, they will come out and be telling the general public that it was a mere mistake. That cannot be taken. Mistake to take life. It cannot be recorded as a mistake because they've gotten a lot of training. They've gotten a lot of training, and hence they can only do better by showing us how much has gone into the military by not making such mistakes.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So a lot of things is happening.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Uche, for your thoughts. Let's get another one. Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Magzi.
Christabel.
All right, good morning.
Go ahead.
This is Magzi Ogochukwu from Sapele Delta State.
Welcome, Magzi.
You remember what I said yesterday?
Go
that
ahead.
Army, Air Force, SSS, Police, INEC.
Hello?
Hello.
All right, I guess we lost that one there. Mazi, do try to call us back. Let's one more call, though, before we wrap up on dialogue for today. Hello?
Hello?
Good morning to you.
Morning.
This is partition one.
All right, go on.
This is very sad for this work the efforts and done in the country.
Hello?
As a military man, as an Air Force man, geography is part of their subject. They must be not risky to go to any place like that.
All right.
They get not risky. They are going. So there must be Boko Haram. When you said Boko Haram are not in government, this government has sent the body down. Then Boko Haram are not even the armed forces. I stop there. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your thoughts, and that's about it on Dialogue for today. A quite sad turn of events, and not the best of starts in 2017 for the Nigerian military. Well, they did do a whole lot in pushing away the remnants of Boko Haram from Sambisa forest, but then to now have the Nigerian military undo all of that hard work by accidentally bombing
the people they saved.
It's a regrettable action and operation, and I'm sure Theater Commander of Operation Lafia Dole would have more for us, Major General Lucky Rabo. But up until he does, this is where we wrap up on Dialogue for today. We'll be here again tomorrow. My name is Augustus Aigbe. Good morning.
And we send our condolences to all those victims and the families of the victims. And so far, we pray that God grants their soul a good rest. My name is Christabel Otobo. Good morning.
92.7 KUFM. Everybody wants to know more of this and more of that. What is happening around the globe? Me, myself, I want to know. Search no more, 'cause I got good news for you. The best station is knocking on your door. Just sit back and relax, baby. Just sit back and relax. 'Cause all you have to do is tune into 92.7 KUFM. Tune into 92.7 KUFM. Tune into 92.7 KUFM. Tune into 92.7 KUFM. Tune into 92.7 KUFM.
92.7 KUFM.
From Benin City to the world.
This is 92.7 KUFM News Update.
Good morning and welcome to KUFM News Update on the hour. I am Augustus Aigbe. The Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Ewere II, has suspended the Isekwere of Benin for negligence of duties and usurping the powers of the traditional stool. Addressing newsmen on Tuesday at the Oba's Palace, the Iyase of Benin Kingdom, Chief Sam Aigbe, said the suspension became irresistible as the Isekwere had ignored the burial ceremony of Oba Erediawa and the coronation of His Royal Majesty Oba Ewere II by refusing to perform his traditional duties according to custom. He said the Isekwere desecrated the palace of the Oba of Benin by holding court and reviewing cases already reviewed by the Oba for gratification. The Delta State government has moved to end alleged hostilities between contracting firms and host communities. The State Commissioner for Works, James Augwoye, who stated this while inspecting ongoing projects across the state, said government had taken steps to ensure that contracting firms engaged in road projects are not harassed or attacked by suspected irate youths in the host communities. This is as he condemned in strong terms the recent attack on a contracting firm handling the rehabilitation and overlay of the 8.7 kilometers Ozora Ole Road in Isoko North Local Government Council. Still on the news update, the Bayelsa State Government has dismissed speculation of an ongoing review of Supreme Court's judgment on the governorship election case between the incumbent governor, Seriake Dixon, and Chief Temipre Silva. The state has been unsettled by a widespread rumor that the Apex Court was about reviewing the judgment, which was delivered in favor of Dixon, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), in the concluded poll. Promoters of the speculation were said to be basking in unfounded claims that the review was designed by the court to overrule itself in favor of Silva, the candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC), and order his swearing in on Thursday. Over now to Rivers State, still on the South. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says the 10 new state-of-the-art security gunboats acquired by the Rivers State government would be delivered to the Nigerian Navy to enhance patrol of the state's waterways. Speaking after inaugurating the 120 housing units named Rivers Quarters at the NNS Pathfinder, which was funded partly by the Rivers State government, Governor Wike urged the Navy to use the newly acquired security gunboats strictly for Rivers waterways. He said the state government would continue to support the Nigerian Navy with the needed logistics to protect the nation's assets. And finally, on the news update, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate all issues surrounding the rerun National and State Assembly elections held on December 10, 2016 in Rivers. The issues to be looked into by the House include complaints of infractions and misconduct believed to have characterized the exercise. The resolution followed a motion by Honorable Kingsley Chinda, which was unanimously adopted by members through a voice vote. And that's KUFM's news update on the hour. I am Augustus Aigbe. Please stay with us for more interesting programs and news updates on the hour. KUFM News, your number one name in radio news. Good morning.
From Benin City to the world.
This is 92.7 KUFM News Update.
92.7 KUFM.
All the programs on KU 92.7 are now open for sponsorship and advert placements. For sponsorship and advert placements, call now for inquiries 070-380-50243 or 080-8877-3644 or visit KUFM Marketing Office located at the top floor of the Enterprise Foundation Building, number 62, Ihama Road, Benin City, Edo State. 92.7 KUFM is your business growth partner.
Don't ever play yourself.
Don't ever play yourself.
You never miss out on the conversation if you follow us on Twitter